We're at the Palm Beach Boat Show for a world premiere. This is the brand new Galeon 520 Fly. It's never been seen before. This is the first one out of the factory and it replaces the 500 Fly, which was a brilliant package. And here's the thing with Galeon, because they're now known as the arch innovators, they have a big reputation to innovate, make things interesting, different and improve on what was already a very good formula. Have they achieved it? Let's find out. I'm Jack Haines, you're watching YachtBuyer. Galeon has basically revolutionised how the aft end of boats like this work, and I'll explain a bit more about that when we go up into the cockpit. Let's start with what you have down here though, which is a hydraulic bathing platform. So this sinks down into the water. You can see you've got the vents in here, so you can also launch and recover a tender off of this platform. It's also got this nice feature, which is steps built into it. So as it sinks down into the water, you get this nice stairway down to the sea. There is a normal ladder here as well, though, if you just want to go for a swim without putting the platform down. Now, behind here is a very big storage void. We can't actually film at the moment because it's absolutely full of boat show kit, but you, as an option, can have that as a crew cabin, though I don't imagine many people will go for that on a boat of this size. It's just really useful to have all your water sports kit right here by the waterline. One other nice feature back here, no wet bar in the cockpit, but you have got a grill back here. So you can cook up, drop this down, have your feet paddling the water as you flip your burgers, and it all hides away nice and cleanly without eating space in the cockpit, which isn't too much of an issue because the cockpit, well, as we'll see, it's absolutely huge. And if you don't want to miss tours like this, make sure you subscribe to YachtBuyer, hit subscribe, hit the bell icon, you'll be notified every time we upload a new tour. Let's crack on. Now this boat replaces the brilliant 500 Fly and is inspired by the larger 560 Fly, both of which we've got videos of on the channel. The other thing you can do if you think, how do they compare? Well, go to yachtbuyer.com because you can literally compare this model with those two models side by side and see where all the differences lie. It makes it really easy for you. Now, in fact, the layout here isn't all that different to the 500 Fly, but they've just made some enhancements. For example, the balconies, we know about them, but they've now got glass in them, which is really nice. So you've got a sort of less obstructed view when they're up, and they've got doors in them too. So you can walk through them when they're up. And as an option, you can have the carousel turning seat that they have on the 500 Fly. That's really nice. It means that you can turn this whole area to face out the back of the boat, so you're not always sitting facing into the boat, which is a bit of an issue with this layout, because, you know, most people are then sitting looking that way rather than where they want to be looking, which is that way. So it'll be a cost option, but I'd definitely go for the carousel if I was speccing one of these. The balconies, well, it's not just about the balconies, it's the way they interact with the interior. So over on that side, you've got a two-way seat, but you can see the size of the door. This slides all the way across. You can open it up, drop these stools in, and then draw up to the bar. There's a flap-up section as well, so you can bring that a little bit closer to you. But I immediately just find this a spot that you really want to be in. It's sheltered, it's cool, really well connected to the interior. Also the other balcony, it makes so much of this area. And one of the major enhancements over the 500 especially is what they've done up on the foredeck. So let's go and have a look at that. Now what I think they've done here is taken inspiration from these models, the GTO, which has got that sunken bow lounge, and we've now got the same thing here on the Flybridge boat. So you drop down into what is a really comfortable space. Not only this nice lounging area, but they've extended it forward as well. So it's way more sociable. Most of the guests on board could sit here with enough space to sit in a nice relaxed fashion and chat and have a drink. And look at the size of the table as well. You could actually eat up here if you wanted to, because this opens up not only so that you can dine if you want to, because you can put some protection over here to give you some shade, but this then drops right down, fills in this entire space, and then you have an absolutely enormous sunpad. But of course, we've got some sunbathing space on the Flybridge, so I think using this as a nice seating area just totally transforms the way the forward end of this boat works. It's absolutely brilliant. Of course, it's a practical space as well. We've got anchor locker here, some storage, actually quite a lot of storage, big enough for some of the fenders in there. But I really like the feeling of security. You're up on the foredeck, but you sit down nice and low. There's storage underneath all these seats. I think it's a really important enhancement over what the 500 Fly offered. Let's check out the Flybridge. Galeon's Flybridges generally punch above their weight, and it's the same thing again here on the 520 Fly. The difference is they've worked with a new interior design firm, so you've got slightly smarter furniture on deck. This looks like high-end garden furniture, doesn't it? The table's a bit more interesting, not just a slab of GRP or wood, but you have this sort of faux stone here, nice wooden fringing, looks and feels really nice. Comfortable too, well protected by the hardtop. And talking of the hardtop, the little bits of detail that you notice these days. Galeon are getting really good at this. This is just a boring slab of GRP. They've just put these pinstripes in, which had a bit of interest. The lighting's nicely inset, and you've got speakers up there, the same colour as the roof, which is lovely. And then right forward, big sliding canvas roof. Now these can be a bit noisy because they're canvas, they can flap, but they open up really wide. So if you do want to open this whole area up to the elements, that makes it very easy for you to do. Split wet bar. Now tell me in the comments what you think you're supposed to do with this. It's not a sink, it's got a drain, it's very shallow. I'm not really sure what you're supposed to use that for, but it's there. Underneath it though, there is something quite useful. The fridge. And then cooking is on the opposite side. So you've got a grill here, and then a sink too, with storage underneath. Nice handhold as well, so you can steady yourself as you walk through. In fact, the stainless steel is really nicely done around the stairway, around the back of the Flybridge as well. So chunky, robust stuff. And then 4 forward-facing seats on the Flybridge. I always think that's very nice. The seats are pretty smart too. You've got the 520 stitching here in the backrest, and the navigators get their own glove box and also a little screen, so they can keep an eye on progress. If you're on the chart, you know, say you're going through fog, someone over here can be looking at the radar where someone else is there concentrating on driving. It's nice to have that split across the 2 sections. And then you have the Helm itself, which again has got a nice pair of chairs that bolster, so you can lean to sit up a bit higher. Let's just see what it's like when you sit down, because that's always the challenge. Yeah, you've still got a really nice view. You can see the bow clearly. Lean back a little bit, but these do slide forward. Throttles fall nice and easy to hand, and the wheel's adjustable as well, so you can make it a little bit higher if it's clashing with your knees. And the screens aren't enormous, so another reason why it's nice to have another one over there, but you could put another Raymarine screen here, which I would do, and you can move the Volvo Penta screen down here. I think that would help things out quite a bit. You've got induction charging, your phone, pair of cup holders. Now you can have this boat with IPS. This one's the shaft drive version. You've got bow and stern thruster though on this, and your simple pair of throttles for top speed of about 30 knots. Well, I'll talk more about the propulsion options when we go down to the lower helm. Final thing to notice is you've got a bit of sunbathing space here. So that's quite nice, and often you think that's just wasted space. It's gobbling up room where I want to be sitting, but actually they've balanced it really nicely. You do want a bit of sunbathing space up here, but it doesn't mean you get a really small seating area. So yeah, really nicely designed. Let's head downstairs. What's so impressive about the balcony design is the value that it adds inside the boat as well. The fact that you can open this up and your view is completely unobstructed. Of course, you get the physical real estate out there, but it makes the experience inside so much more pleasant. If you want to see what it's like to actually set up beach mode, which is what they call it when all this drops down, we did the full thing when we sea trialed the 560 Fly. I did it from start to finish, so you can go and have a look at that and see what it takes to actually turn it into beach mode. The other difference between this and the 500 Fly is separate access to the owner's cabin. That's what this is. We're going to go there in a moment. And there are some things that are carried over. So this drops down flush to give you a perch facing out of the boat. We have the big sliding doors. We know about those, but there is a change with them just forward. We'll get onto that in a moment. Galley itself, well, this is just lovely. I think it's in the galley where, again, you really appreciate that you can open this massive window up if you are cooking in here. There's loads of ventilation. You're not tucked downstairs. You can talk to everybody because everything's so open. If you're stuck in the galley, you can interact with people on deck really easily. You've got a twin hob with extraction overhead, decent sized sink, a microwave oven down there. Haven't found a dishwasher yet, but there might be. Oh yes, I have. Dishwasher as well. That'll be an option, I expect. And then cooling space. Fridge and freezer here. What I would say is that is just the normal fridge latch that's holding that closed. If you've got heavy bottles in there and the boat rolls, that could ping open really easily. So I would suggest they add a catch on that, and they may well do. This is hull number 1. It's so fresh, it's actually going to go back to Poland to be finished off. So there probably are a few things here and there that they're going to amend before this one is classed as fully finished. But obviously they wanted people to see it at the show. Forward, we can pick up some of this detail I was talking about. It's the same in here. Upstairs, outside, they've made some enhancements, and yeah, these little details are quite smart, aren't they? Let me know what you think about all these latches, straps in the comments below, but I think they just add a little bit more visual interest. It's quite a different palette from Galeons that we've seen before. Right forward, obviously, we have our internal dining space. I'd imagine people aren't going to really use this for dining too much, but a big television swings down from the ceiling there, so this is where you'll sit and watch TV. And this sofa over here also has a two-way backrest. So this is another major change over the 500. This forward door also slides all the way back. So you can close this one if you're sitting in this dining area and open the forward door. But I think that leads to a bit of a compromise at the helm. Let me explain. And that compromise is that, yes, you've got this huge door here, but I'd wager that day to day, you'd actually prefer this just to be a normal side door because it's so big. It's an enormous piece of glass. Yes, you can use it to get out from the Helm, but what I like about side doors is the ability to ventilate, and this is such a big door, you're not really going to want to have it ajar when the boat's moving along, so it robs you a bit of that practicality. So if you're sitting over there with these big doors open, you are going to get a nice breeze. Just a personal preference. Let me know what you think. The rest of the Helm, pretty similar to the other Galeons in the range. It's nice and clean, dominated by a pair of MFDs. There are very few buttons really. You've got some hard switches here for your regularly used stuff. This Helm seat is fixed quite a long way from the dash, as you can see. Like upstairs, the wheel's adjustable. However, you can, in theory, bolster this, which helps a bit. That's quite a nice position, helps with the view as well. The windscreen is relatively shallow, but sitting like this, I've got a nice clear view. Of course, we're not at sea, it's not going onto the plane, that's the true test, but generally, despite having all that gubbins up front, the view is pretty good. So yeah, shaft drive on this boat. Both options use the D11 725 horsepower engines, whether you have it as shafts or pods. Top speed of 30 knots, cruises at 23, 25 knots, and we'll probably do about 250 nautical miles of range. So pretty similar to the rest of the Galeon range, to be honest. Solid cruising boat, not designed for long distances, but yeah, we'll get up and go quite nicely if you need it to. Nice that you can have a navigator here as well, so you're not sitting here on your own as the skipper. Yeah, a pretty good job. I'm just interested to know day to day how much you'd actually use this big door. Right, let's head downstairs because there's more innovation when it comes to accommodation. So the layout down here, quite novel for this sector. We have two guest cabins forward, a VIP right in the bow. There's a twin on this side, and they share a bathroom over here on the starboard side. And then it's totally separate access to the owner's cabin and midships. We're going to go there after this section. In terms of the arrangement down here, these two share a bathroom, but it's a very nice bathroom indeed. Really impressive. And again, the finish is just slightly elevated over what we've seen before. I like the brass work on the door handles and the shower equipment, the rain shower head, the finish of all this paneling here, and just a sheer amount of space you've got. Headroom's decent. The black sinks look really smart. The perceived quality in here just seems to get better every single time I get on board a Galeon. I really like it. Moving into the VIP, so that has obviously totally separate access into that bathroom, whereas that cabin has to go across the lobby. But again, I like some of the finishing in here. The doors with the sort of inset velour. Don't know what material that is, but it's nice. And I like the orange tones as well. It's sort of dark and autumnal and quite cool, but it's plenty bright in here because we have nice sections of hull window. And this is the intrusion from that sunken bow lounge up on the foredeck. But it doesn't intrude too much, and it's at least nice and soft. So if you do conk your head on it, it's not going to hurt too much. And they have also put some windows in here, so they're helping to bring in some natural light, and these all open too because you haven't got opening sections in the side windows. The bed, that's a nice size. Storage is in drawers underneath, so it doesn't lift up, but you've still got some storage underneath there, and there is enough clearance despite the well for the foredeck to sit up in bed. And you know, it's little details like this, having this shelving that's all nicely lit back there, the reading lights, these cubbies for your devices. It's nicely executed. Storage on both sides too, nicely hidden away, these wardrobes. And then further amidships, we find the twin cabin. I'll just shuffle down between the berths, which do slide together manually, I believe, but you can slide them together to make a double, or you've got your two smaller shingles here. Pretty well sorted for kids, to be honest, but you know, adults will be comfortable enough for a couple of days. It's certainly nice and bright in here with that lovely big hull window quite close to the waterline. Hanging storage up here in this wardrobe, and you've got the usual things you like to see, light repeaters down here by the bed, reading lights, sockets for charging, a little bedside table between them as well, and there's some more storage above. Lighting is all nice integrated in these strip lights above. Now, I do like the decor in here. They've done a nice job with it. Feels different, but not too much, not too over the top like it used to be on board Galeons. They've done it in quite a tasteful way. Now let's head to that owner's cabin. This is another novel part of the design. If you have a look at the deck plan, we're going up through the saloon to get down to the owner's cabin because we have this totally separate access point down here from the saloon. Well, this is what you might call quite a big boat feature, having a totally separate staircase down into your cabin. Not that unique in general, but at this size you don't see that all too often. And there are two schools of thought. It gobbles up room in the saloon, but it is quite nice that if you've got guests on board, you are totally separated from them. It is very, very good for privacy. What do we actually have in here though? Well, there's quite a few level changes. You notice when you first come in, you have to go up on either side, and there's a little step up into the bathroom as well. So when you're moving around at night, you just have to be careful of that. And I've talked about how much I like the decor, and I do, but it does feel quite dark in here. Even though we've got big hull windows, it's just a little bit gloomy, I have to say. That said, the space is decent, especially the bed. That's a really nice size. I like the detailing on either side with the lights mounted on the walls, and you've got separate bedside tables as well. The chaise lounge over there looks very nice, but I'd argue that as an owner, you'd probably prefer to have a bit more storage there, because yes, you've got some up there, you've got a wardrobe in that corner and the bureau, but a bit more drawer storage would probably be more useful than a chaise lounge that you're probably not going to use all that much. This is nice though, how they've made such a feature of the bureau over in this corner. That obviously drops down, but that's a really nice space. And then the bathroom. And this is a nice space as well. Again, headroom's perfectly good. Toilet over on this side, surrounded by counter space. I'd suggest maybe a fiddle on there would be good, so that you can use it to put stuff on and not worry that it's all going to slide around. But you have got some good shelving up here, to be fair. And again, the way they've integrated the sink looks really, really smart. And there's enough room in here to have a decent sized shower cubicle. I mean, look how the head shoots up in there with a rain shower head. So yeah, pretty good. Okay, let's head to the engine room. Well, the plan was to show you the engine room anyway, but as I've mentioned, this is hull number 1, and they're not willing to let us into the engine room on a boat that's really not finished. So I can kind of understand that. This is really just an overview for you anyway. We will sea trial this at some point, where of course we'll talk about the handling, the performance, and we go into great detail as what it's like down there. Sorry about that, but sometimes that's the way it goes. This is actually a pretty tough design brief for Tony Castro and the design team at Galeon, because the 500 was so good, but they don't want to nibble into the 560 Fly, which is one up from this on the ladder. It's a really convincing package, but it's easy to be at a boat show. The true test will be when we get it out on the water. How does all of this stuff work? Have the innovations that work so well on the boat stationary compromised when it comes to the driving performance? Well, hopefully we'll find out. So make sure you subscribe so you don't miss the sea trial later on in the year. Hope you enjoyed it. See you on the next one. Thanks very much for watching that tour. I hope you enjoyed it. Please give us a like if you did, and remember to subscribe. And if you want to see the boat that this boat replaces, the 500 Fly, we've got a really good sea trial of that on the channel. I'll put that up here. Thanks again for watching. I'm Jack Haines. This is YachtBuyer.